Then your parents tell you to stay out of trouble, man. What the wrong with you?
Nigga, you better watch your motherfucking mouth. You ain't nobody daddy. You ain't tip, nigga. We can get down, nigga. But if you must ask, nigga, I was going to get my girl some food. What the is wrong with that?
Dress like Pikachu and shit. The hell wrong with you, man?
What the is wrong with a Pikachu onesie? I would still smoke a nigga ass in a Pikachu onesie. So you better watch it. And I ain't Pikachu today, nigga.
What the hell your daddy had to say about this? You know your daddy will you up expeditiously.
I don't know. I'm still trying to decide whether this nigga a kid or a baby smoker. I'm looking at him. I don't know. He's got a little baby face. He ain't got no mustache, no beard, no nothing. Like, how old are you?
The internet didn't just break, it detonated. At exactly the moment nobody was ready, when cameras were supposed to be off, when the laughter should have died down, when the jokes should have stayed harmless, something snapped. And what happened next is already being whispered as one of the most explosive, unfiltered, completely unhinged celebrity meltdowns we've seen in years. Because this wasn't just a podcast gone wrong. This was a public humiliation, turning into a private war, spilling into a parking lot, and erupting into chaos so intense that insiders are now saying the footage we haven't seen is 10 times worse than what's already gone viral. It started with a joke. A single line. A jab about a Pikachu onesie. And within seconds, the energy in that room shifted from playful to dangerous. Witnesses say you could feel the tension crack the air. Voices tightened. Smiles froze. And then, without warning, King Harris went from sitting calmly to standing up like something inside him had been unleashed. But here's what nobody expected. The cameras didn't capture the real because what happened after it is what we're on edge right now. We're talking about alleged threats that weren't meant for the public, voices raised off camera, city stepping in too late, and a confrontation that didn't end at the studio door. It followed them outside, into the parking lot, where things reportedly turned physical. Where witnesses are now details that don't match the edited version circulating online. Cast host, who thought he was just stirring viral content, may have accidentally triggered something far bigger than clout. And now, we've got alleged audio clips floating around in private group chats. We've got insiders claiming their texts sent moments before the altercation that completely changed the narrative. We've got fans choosing sides like it's a full-blown war. And we've got one question that nobody can answer yet. Did King Harris just defend his name, or did he walk straight into a situation that could explode his entire future? Because the deeper you go into this story, the messier it gets. The jokes weren't random. The tension wasn't new. And the parking lot, that might have just been the beginning. What nobody tells you is that explosions like this don't just happen, they build, quietly, dangerously, like pressure inside a sealed container waiting for one careless spark to blow everything wide open. And by the time King Harris sat down in that podcast chair, that pressure had already reached a breaking point. The room looked normal at first. Cameras rolling. Lights hot. Mics clipped. The host smiling like he had just lined up another viral moment. But behind that casual energy, there was something else simmering, something sharp, something intentional, something that insiders now claim was planned long before King even walked through the door. Because according to a leaked production group chat that started circulating hours after the incident, one message stands out above all the others. Ask him about Pikachu. Don't let it slide. That message, allegedly sent by someone on the podcast team, has now become the center of a growing storm. Because if true, this wasn't just a joke. This was bait. And King Harris walked straight into it. At first, he played it cool. You can see it in the now viral clip. He leans back, half smirking, brushing off the early conversation like he's been through worse. But then the host pivots. The tone shifts. The question lands. So, you still wearing costumes when you get pulled over? There's laughter. Not just one person. Multiple voices. Background chuckles. Someone off camera repeating Pikachu like it's the punchline of the year. And that's when everything changes. King's face tightens. His eyes lock in. The smirk disappears like it was never there. And for a split second, just a second, you can see the internal battle. Ignore it, or respond. He responds. Not calmly. Not strategically. But instantly, emotionally, explosively. You think that's funny? The room goes quiet, but not fully. There's still nervous laughter, the kind that does it's about to cross a line. The host tries to keep it light, doubling down instead of backing off. No, I'm just saying, you had the whole internet looking crazy. He never finishes the sentence. Because King cuts him off, voice rising, posture shifting, energy flipping from guest to aggressor in real time. Witnesses say the temperature in the room dropped instantly. One crew member allegedly texted someone mid-recording, "This going left. Like, bad." And then comes the line that's now being replayed across every platform, "I'll stand on business in anything. Costume or not. Don't play with me." At that point, the interview is no longer an interview. It's a confrontation. But here's where it gets even messy. Because while the viral clip makes it look like this was a sudden reaction, insiders are now claiming King had already been on edge before he even sat down. And the reason? A series of DMs, leaked just hours after the incident, that suggest the podcast host may have been trolling him privately for days. One message allegedly reads, "Don't pull up in costume this time." Another, "We might have to bring a poke bowl for you." If those messages are real, and multiple sources claim they are, then this wasn't just public disrespect. This was a build-up. A slow burn. A series of jabs designed to provoke. And it worked. Because by the time that joke hit on air, King wasn't reacting to just that moment. He was reacting to everything that came before it. The memes. The comments. The viral mugshot. The endless reposts of that yellow onesie. And suddenly, it wasn't funny anymore. It was personal. What happens next doesn't fully make it into the official clip, but fragments of it are leaking everywhere. A second angle. Grainy. Shaky. Someone's phone recording from behind the camera setup. In it, you can hear chairs moving. Someone saying "Yo, chill." Another voice, possibly a producer, whispering, "Cut it, cut it." But King doesn't sit back down. He stands. Steps forward. And now the distance between him and the host is gone. Eyewitnesses claim the host tried to laugh it off one last time, throwing out a line that may have sealed his fate. "It's just jokes, bro, don't crash out over Pikachu." Crash out. That phrase. That exact phrase. The same one critics have been using online for weeks. The same one tied to every headline, every reaction video, every comment dragging his name. Hearing it in that room. In that moment. According to multiple accounts, it flipped a switch. King allegedly lunges forward, not swinging, not yet, but close enough that security immediately steps in. Hands go up. Voices overlap. Someone knocks into a mic stand. The audio peaks, distorts, cuts. And then, silence. That's where the public footage ends. But that's not where the story ends. Because what happened next didn't happen on camera. It happened in the hallway. Then the exit. then the parking lot. And according to 3 separate witnesses who have since spoken anonymously, that's where things went from heated to uncontrollable. One source claims King was pacing outside, still heated, still talking, still repeating variations of "don't play with me" under his breath. Another says the host came out minutes later, phone in hand, possibly recording, possibly calling someone, but whatever he was doing, it didn't de-escalate the situation. It made it worse. Because the moment their eyes locked again, round 2 began. And this time, there were no cameras officially rolling. Only phones. Only fragments. Only chaos. A clip that surfaced briefly, before being taken down, shows a blurry figure matching King's build stepping towards someone near a row of parked cars. You hear shouting. A loud thud. Someone yelling "Ayo!" Then the video cuts. Deleted within minutes. But not before being screen recorded, shared, dissected, and turned into the biggest unanswered question in this entire situation: did it actually get physical? The internet is split. Some say yes, pointing to slowed down frames, claiming you can see contact. Others say it's all exaggeration, that it was just aggressive posturing, nothing more. But then came the audio leak. 12 seconds. No video. Just sound. Breathing. Footsteps. And a voice, shaken, possibly the host, saying, "You really did that over a joke." Followed by another voice, louder, angrier, "I told you don't play with me." That clip alone has sent shockwaves through social media. Because if that's real, then this wasn't just talk. This wasn't just clout. This crossed the line. And now, behind the scenes, things are moving fast. Too fast. Because within hours of the incident, posts started disappearing. The host deleted tweets. The podcast page went silent. And King, he posted one thing. Just one. A black screen. White text. Respect ain't a joke. No explanation. No apology. No context. Just that. And then, nothing. But here's where everything takes a turn nobody saw coming. Because just when people thought this was a simple case of a celebrity losing control, a new leak dropped late last night that flips the entire narrative upside down. A voice memo. Allegedly from someone inside the podcast team. Claiming this whole situation might not have been spontaneous at all. Claiming they were told to push him. Claiming someone wanted this exact reaction. And if that voice memo is real, then the question isn't just what happened in that parking lot. It's who needed it to happen. And why. The moment that voice memo hit private group chats, everything people thought they understood about this situation started collapsing in real time. Because suddenly, this wasn't just a meltdown. It looked like a setup. The audio, grainy, whispered, clearly recorded in a hurry, features a voice believed to be a junior producer from the podcast team. You can hear tension in every word, like someone who didn't expect things to spiral this far. We were told to keep pushing him, like, don't let it go, make it uncomfortable, get a reaction. That line alone was enough to ignite a wildfire. But it didn't stop there. He didn't even want to bring up the Pikachu thing at first. They said it would go viral if we did. They said he'd crash out. That phrase again. Now it's not just mockery, it's motive. Because if someone behind the scenes predicted this exact reaction, and pushed for it anyway, then this wasn't just content creation. This was provocation. Calculated. Intentional. Dangerous. Within minutes of that leak surfacing, social media went into full-blown war mode. Hashtags started trending. Fans split into factions. One side screaming that King Harris was set up, baited, humiliated on purpose. The other side arguing that no amount of jokes justifies what allegedly happened next. And right in the middle of that chaos, more leaks. This time, screenshots. Alleged internal messages between podcast staff, timestamped just hours before filming. One line stands out, now being reposted everywhere. If he bites, we got 1 million views easy. Another, don't cut even if it gets heated. That last message is what has people asking the most uncomfortable question of all: were they planning to let things escalate, no matter what? Because if that's true, then what happened in that parking lot might not have been an accident. It might have been the goal. But here's where it gets even darker. Because as the internet argued, dissected, and spiraled, someone dropped something that nobody was ready for. A second audio clip, longer this time, clearer, and far more explosive. You hear footsteps again. Car doors. Distant voices. And then, unmistakably, the podcast host. I'm not scared of you, bro. You on camera acting tough, and then allow interruption. Not just yelling. A sharp impact sound. Followed by chaos. Multiple voices shouting at once. Yo, chill. Back up. Somebody grab him. And then, the same voice from before, angrier, closer, unmistakable. I told you stop playing with me. The clip cuts there. No resolution. No confirmation. Just enough to send the entire internet into a frenzy. Because now, it doesn't sound like speculation anymore. It sounds like something actually happened. And almost immediately, the consequences started unfolding behind the scenes. Sources claim the podcast host has been laying low, cancelling appearances, going silent on all platforms except for one cryptic post that disappeared within minutes. Some jokes ain't worth it. Gone as quickly as it appeared. Meanwhile, insiders close to King Harris are telling a completely different story, one that paints him not as the aggressor, but as someone who was pushed past his limit. One anonymous source, claiming to be part of his inner circle, dropped a message that's now circulating like wildfire. They kept poking him. Even off camera. They thought it was funny. It wasn't funny to him. Another alleged text from someone on his team reads, he tried to leave. They followed him outside still talking. If that's true, then what happened in that parking lot wasn't just a continuation. It was an escalation. A breaking point. And suddenly, the narrative shifts again. Because now people are asking, did he go too far? Or was he pushed too far? Before anyone could even settle into that debate, another twist hit, and this one sent shockwaves through the entire industry. A video. Not the blurry one. Not the short clip. A different angle. Clearer. Longer. And according to those who saw it before it was taken down, it shows more than anyone expected. The video allegedly captures the moment both men exit the building. You see the host first, talking, gesturing, phone in hand. Then King appears behind, moving fast, energy still high, body language aggressive. They exchange words. You can't hear everything, but you don't need to. The tension is visible, palpable, explosive. And then, multiple viewers who screen recorded parts before it vanished, there's a sudden movement forward. A reaction. Someone stumbling back. Not a full-on brawl. But not nothing either. Enough to blur the line between argument and altercation. Enough to make people uncomfortable. Enough to raise real questions. Because if that footage ever fully surfaces, there's no spinning it. No editing it. No controlling the narrative. And that's exactly why, according to insiders, there's now a quiet scramble happening behind closed doors. Legal teams, PR managers, crisis control specialists, all moving fast. Too fast. Because this isn't just about reputation anymore. It's about consequences. Real ones. Especially with one detail looming over everything like a ticking clock. King Harris's open legal situation. Because while the internet is focused on the drama, the memes, the chaos, there's a much bigger issue quietly building in the background. And it doesn't care about viral clips. It doesn't care about who started it. It only cares about what can be proven. And if even part of these leaks are real, if even one of these clips holds up under scrutiny, then what happened in that parking lot could follow him far beyond social media. Far beyond headlines. In a place where jokes don't exist, and reactions have consequences. But just when it seemed like things couldn't get more intense, they did. Because late last night, while everyone was still arguing over clips and screenshots, one name entered the conversation that nobody expected, and instantly made everything 10 times more explosive. A voice. Familiar. Respected. And very, very close to King. A message surfaced. Short, direct, and impossible to ignore. Handle your business, but don't lose yourself doing it. People immediately started connecting dots. Speculating. Zooming in on timing, wording, intent. Because if that message is what some believe it is, then this situation isn't just a viral incident anymore. It's personal. Family level personal. And the moment that connection gets confirmed, everything changes. Because now it's not just about what happened in a podcast studio or a parking lot. It's about what happens next. And whether this was the moment everything finally spiraled out of control, or the moment something even bigger began. That message didn't just land, it detonated like a shockwave through people thought they understood. Because the second fans tracing where it came from, the whispers turned. All signs pointed to TI. And if that was really him, then this wasn't just a random situation spiraling out of control. Watching his son seriously close to a line too well. Within minutes, flooded with side-by-side comparison. Old in past clips of TI talking about discipline, consequences, survival. People started reposting that one quote over and over again. I've been there. I know where that road leads. Suddenly, the narrative shifted again. This wasn't just about King losing control. It was about legacy, pressure, expectation. And what happens when someone raised in the spotlight tries to prove themselves and ends up trapped inside the image they created? Because behind the scenes, things were getting ugly fast. According to a source claiming to have direct access to the situation, a private phone call allegedly took place just hours after the parking lot incident, and it wasn't calm. Voices raised. Frustration spilling over. One line from that alleged call has now spread like wildfire. You think this makes you look strong? No confirmation. No full recording. Just fragments. But enough to paint a picture. And then came the social media explosion. Not just fans this time. Celebrities. Influencers. Commenters. Everyone had something nothing to say, and almost none of it was neutral. Some defended King, arguing he finally stood up for himself after weeks of relentless respect. Others weren't holding back at all, calling the entire situation reckless, unnecessary, and dangerously predictable. One viral post read, "You can't demand respect and lose control in the same breath." Another shot back, "Or maybe stop disrespecting people and see what happens." Lines were drawn. Sides were chosen. And the algorithm? It pushed every second of it straight into the spotlight. Clips loop endlessly. Audio dissected frame by frame. People slowing down that alleged impact moment, zooming in, arguing over pixels like it was courtroom evidence. And quietly, in the background, something even more serious started happening. Because according to insiders, representatives tied to the podcast began reaching not dramatically, but carefully, strategically. Requests, takedowns, conversations behind closed doors. Why? Because that longer video, the one that allegedly shows the clearest view of what happened, still hasn't resurfaced. Not fully. Not officially. And people are starting to ask why. Was it buried? Was it bought? Or is it being held, waiting for the right moment? Because here's what makes this situation even more volatile: if that footage drops unedited, it doesn't just end debates. It creates consequences. Real ones. Especially with King's current legal cloud still hanging over everything like a storm waiting to break. Every move now matters. Every post. Every silence. Every reaction, or lack of one. And right now, King Harris is silent. No live streams. No explanations. No late night rants. Just that one post still sitting there like a warning shot: respect ain't a joke. Meanwhile, the podcast host? Still nowhere to be. No full statement. Detailed breakdown. Just rumors, whispers, consulting people, weighing options, deciding what comes. Because whatever he says, or shows, could flip everything in. And then, just when it felt like things went down, another leak hit. This time, a text thread. Allegedly between someone close to the host and an unknown contact. One message stands out: "We didn't think he'd actually do something." And the reply? "That's the problem. You thought it was content." That line alone has become the new headline. Captures everything. The clash between entertainment and reality. Between jokes and consequences. Between viral moments and real-life fallout. And now, pitching anymore. They're waiting. Waiting to see if just come up. Waiting to see if statements drop. Waiting to see if that full footage finally surfaces. Make no mistake, this isn't over. Not even close. If anything, this feels like the calm before something much bigger. Because every piece of this story is still moving. Still shifting. Still living. And the second one more detail slips out. One more clip. One more voice. One more confirmation. Everything could explode all over again. So now the question isn't just what happened in that parking lot. It's been next. Because reputations are on the line. Careers are hanging in the balance. And the truth? It's still not fully out. Not yet. But when it is, there's no coming back from it. If you've made it this, you already know this story is far from finished, and next update change everything. you think you know. So don't just scroll like it's another headline. Hit like right now if you felt the tension. One. If you caught the details others miss, so paying attention to how deep this really goes. Drop your take in the comments. Was this justified, or did far? As the conversation is only getting louder, and the sisters are the ones speak up. And most important, subscribe and turn on notifications immediately. Because when that missing footage drops, when the statements finally break, when Wolf decides to tell the full stories, and to be the last one finding out. This isn't just gossip anymore. This is unfolding in real time. And stay locked in. If you're still here, then you already. This another viral moment you scroll past and forget. This is one of those stories evolving, where every hour brings a new twist, a new detail that completely flips upside. The next update, not going to be small. It's going to hit hard.